An apology that took nearly 50 years. The Oscars Academy has said sorry to Sacheen Littlefeather, a Native American activist and actor who was booed off stage at the Oscars in 1973. She attended to refuse an Oscar on behalf of Marlon Brando, who had won the Best Actor Oscar for his role in The Godfather. Well, joining me to tell us more is David Moracan from our Culture Department. David, great to have you with us once again. Tell us about what happened to Littlefeather in 1973 and in the years afterwards as well.
Well, as you said, this is a moment in 1973 that lives on in Oscar infamy. The Apache and Yaqui actress Sacheen Littlefeather went on stage to decline the Oscar on behalf of Marlon Brando for The Godfather, citing Marlon Brando's protest at the film industry's treatment of Native Americans. And she received two sets of instructions. Brando asked her not to touch the statue, and then Oscar producer Howard Cox said, "Don't run over 60 seconds or you're arrested by the security guards." And she was booed on stage, heckled, her life was threatened afterwards. Quite famously, John Wayne, who was backstage at the time, was furious and had to be restrained by about 6 people. And in the years since, she said openly that she's been mocked, discriminated against, and personally attacked for this very brief appearance on stage. And now the Academy have issued an apology, stating that the abuse you endured because of this statement was unwarranted and unjustified. And the letter goes on to say that the emotional burden and the cost to Littlefeather's career is irreparable. So they've offered their deepest apologies, to which Littlefeather has said, "We Indians are very patient people, it's only been 50 years. She added that it's important to keep a sense of humour at all times because it is our method of survival.
What a reply from Littlefeather, poignant and, as you say, with that touch of humour as well, really incredible. Just tell us, a little bit in terms of how much she was a trailblazer as well, though, when it comes to these kinds of protests at the Oscars.
Yes, she became the first person in the ceremony's then 45 years to use the Oscar platform and to go on stage and to say such a statement. And since then, it's become a regular occurrence. You see this every year almost at the Oscar ceremonies without the same consequences or abuse that Littlefeather has endured. So in 1975, for example, there were the protests against the Vietnam War. Later on, Michael Moore slammed then President Bush. And since then, and a bit more recently, Leonardo DiCaprio addressing climate change, Patricia Arquette talking about the issue of equal pay in the industry, and of course this rather pathetic moment we had this year with the slap heard around the world. But while these incidents can't really be equated, they do reveal Littlefeather, as you say, to be a trailblazer, to be ahead of her time and somebody who suffered for it. And more depressingly, not a lot has changed since in terms of Indigenous representation. Only 2 Native performers and artists have received Oscars, Wes Studi and Taika Waititi. So it is great that the Oscars are finally wrestling with this problematic and racist past, but it's better late than never. But hopefully it will engender, it will trigger more conversations and more apologies potentially. And as meagre a compensation as it may be, Sacheen Littlefeather has been invited to the Academy Museum in September to host a panel and to talk.